choice to make a change. In the shadows, I find my range. While the world's rushing by, I'm moving still. In the silence, I find my will. No need to shout, I hear the call. In my quiet, I stand tall. Strength inside, it never fades. I walk my path in my own way. I'm the quiet strength, the power in the calm. When the world gets loud, I'm steady, I'm strong. In my silence, I rise above. I am enough, I am enough. I may not be the one to stand out in the crowd, but my spirit speaks without being loud. Every thought, every step, it's all mine. In the quiet, I find my time. No need to rush, I'll take it slow. In my silence, I still grow. I'll reach the heights, I'll climb the wall. In my stillness, I hear it all. I'm the quiet strength, the power in the calm. When the world gets loud, I'm steady, I'm strong. In my silence, I rise above. I am enough, I am enough. No need to rush, I'll take it slow. In my silence, I still grow. I'll reach the heights, I'll climb the wall. In my stillness, I hear it all. I'm the quiet strength, the power in the calm. When the world gets loud, I'm steady, I'm strong. In my silence, I rise above. I am enough, I am enough, I am enough. Just as I am, in my quiet, I take my stand. I am enough, no need to prove. With quiet strength, I make my move.
Hey there, Vital Visionaries. Welcome to part 1 of our first series, Overcoming Challenges as an Introvert. In today's episode, we're diving into a topic that many of us introverts can relate to: networking. The very idea of walking into a room full of strangers, making small talk and trying to sell yourself can feel overwhelming, right? Trust me, I've been there. But here's the thing. Networking doesn't have to be exhausting or intimidating. In fact, you can approach it in a way that feels natural and empowering, using your strengths as an introvert to make real, meaningful connections. By the end of today's episode, you'll have a fresh perspective on networking, along with practical strategies to navigate these social situations without feeling drained. We're going to cover how to manage your energy, build genuine connections, and follow up in ways that feel authentic. So, grab your favorite drink, find a comfy spot, and let's jump right into it. Let's start by addressing the big question. Why is networking so challenging for introverts? If you've ever walked into a networking event and immediately felt a sense of discomfort or exhaustion, you're not alone. But why does this happen? For us introverts, it's not just about being shy or socially anxious. It's about how we manage our energy. Extroverts gain energy from social interactions. The more they engage with people, the more energized they feel. But for introverts, social interaction, especially in large, fast-paced settings, can feel like it's draining our energy. It's like we're using up our internal battery, and the more we interact, the faster that battery depletes. Another key point is that introverts thrive on deep, meaningful conversations. We're not big fans of small talk or surface-level interactions. We prefer connecting on a deeper level, talking about ideas, experiences, or emotions. But at most networking events, the goal is to move quickly, introduce yourself to as many people as possible, and engage in short, often superficial conversations. This environment can feel uncomfortable and unsatisfying for introverts who crave more substance in their interactions. So when you combine the energy drain with the lack of meaningful conversation, it's easy to see why networking can be challenging for introverts. It can feel like trying to swim upstream, exhausting and unfulfilling. But here's the twist. Networking doesn't have to be an extrovert's game. You don't have to meet everyone in the room or be the loudest person to succeed. In fact, your natural introvert strengths, like listening, observing and connecting one-on-one, are exactly what can help you stand out and thrive in networking situations. Let me share a quick personal story. A few years ago, I attended a large industry conference. Walking into that event felt overwhelming. It was a huge room packed with people, and the energy was fast-paced and intense. My first instinct was to leave, but instead I decided to focus on having just one meaningful conversation. I found someone who looked approachable, and we ended up talking for about 30 minutes. That one interaction turned into one of the most valuable professional relationships I've ever had. From that experience, I learned something important. Networking doesn't have to be about quantity, it's about quality. You don't need to meet everyone or be the most outgoing person in the room to make meaningful connections. Now that we understand why networking can be tough for introverts, let's talk about one of the most powerful strategies for introverts: the power of one-on-one connections. Introverts thrive in smaller, more intimate settings. We tend to excel when we can connect deeply with just one or two people, rather than trying to engage with large groups. And this is a major strength when it comes to networking. A lot of people think that networking is all about meeting as many people as possible, but that's not true. Quality matters more than quantity. You don't need to collect 20 business cards in a night to be successful. In fact, having a few meaningful conversations with people who resonate with you can be far more valuable than rushing from one person to the next. Let's talk about how you can apply this strategy the next time you're at a networking event. Step 1. Observe the room. When you first walk into a networking event, take a few minutes to observe the room. Don't rush to start talking to people right away. Instead, look around and find someone who seems approachable. Maybe it's someone standing alone or in a small group. These individuals are often more open to having a deeper conversation. Step 2. Start with thoughtful questions. Once you've found someone to talk to, start with thoughtful, open-ended questions. Instead of the typical, "What do you do?" try asking something more engaging like, "What brings you to this event?" or "What's been the highlight of your day so far?" These types of questions encourage the other person to open up and share more about themselves, which can lead to a more meaningful conversation. Step 3. Listen and follow up. One of the best things about being an introvert is that we tend to be excellent listeners. Use that to your advantage. When you're in a conversation, focus on truly listening to what the other person is saying. Ask follow-up questions based on what they've shared. This not only keeps the conversation flowing, but it also shows that you're genuinely interested in what they have to say. Let's say you approach someone near the refreshments table. Instead of launching into "What do you do?" try something like, "I noticed we're both here by the coffee. Are you enjoying the event so far?" This sets the stage for a more relaxed, engaging conversation. By focusing on quality over quantity, you'll find that networking becomes less overwhelming and more enjoyable. Building a few strong connections can have a greater impact than trying to meet everyone in the room. Now let's tackle small talk, the dreaded part of networking for many introverts. Let's be real. Small talk can feel awkward and superficial. It's like eating a meal that leaves you unsatisfied. But here's a little secret. Small talk doesn't have to be shallow. In fact, it can be the gateway to deeper, more meaningful conversations. The key is to reframe how you think about small talk. Instead of seeing it as the end goal, view it as a warm-up, a way to break the ice and ease into the conversation before transitioning into more engaging topics. Here's how you can make small talk feel less uncomfortable and more natural. 1. Start with light, easy topics. It's okay to start with something light like the event or even the weather. The trick is to transition from there to something more meaningful. For example, you could start with, "Wow, this event is packed. How do you usually navigate large gatherings like this?" This takes the conversation from surface-level small talk to a more thoughtful exchange. 2. Ask open-ended questions. One of the biggest challenges with small talk is that it can quickly hit a dead end if you're asking closed questions. Instead of questions that can be answered with a simple yes or no, aim for open-ended questions like, "What's been your biggest takeaway from the event so far?" Or, "What are you working on that you're excited about?" These types of questions invite the other person to share more, which makes it easier to keep the conversation flowing. 3. Use small talk as a stepping stone. Think of small talk as the gateway to a more engaging conversation. Once you've broken the ice, you can steer the conversation toward topics that feel more meaningful to you. For example, you might say, "I noticed you work in marketing. What do you find most rewarding about your work?" This takes the conversation beyond the surface and allows for deeper connection. 4. Don't be afraid of silence. Introverts often feel pressure to fill every pause in the conversation, but silence isn't a bad thing. In fact, it can create space for the other person to reflect and respond more thoughtfully. Don't be afraid to pause and let the conversation breathe. It can lead to more meaningful exchanges. Small talk isn't something we have to dread. By using it as a starting point and steering the conversation towards more interesting topics, we can turn small talk into something much more engaging. Once you get past the initial small talk, you'll often find that the other person is just as interested in having a real conversation as you are. Now let's talk about something that's essential for introverts in any social situation: managing your energy. If you've ever left a networking event feeling like you've been completely drained, you're not alone. Networking can be exhausting, but there are ways to manage your energy so you don't feel wiped out afterward. Here are a few strategies I've found helpful for conserving your energy while networking. 1. Set time limits. One of the best ways to protect your energy is to set clear time limits for how long you'll stay at the event. If you know you can only handle an hour or two before feeling burnt out, stick to that time limit. You don't need to stay for the entire event to be successful. It's better to have a few quality conversations in that time than to stay longer and feel exhausted. 2. Take breaks. Don't be afraid to take breaks during the event. If you start feeling overwhelmed, step outside for some fresh air, or find a quiet spot where you can recharge for a few minutes. These small breaks can make a huge difference in helping you stay grounded and avoid feeling overwhelmed. 3. Focus on fewer meaningful conversations. Instead of trying to meet everyone at the event, focus on having a few meaningful conversations. This approach helps conserve your energy and allows you to engage more deeply with the people you meet. As we discussed earlier, quality over quantity is key for introverts. 4. Know when to leave. It's important to have an exit strategy in place so you can leave the event when you've reached your energy limit. Once you've had a few good conversations, it's perfectly okay to say, "It's been great talking with you. I'm going to head out, but let's stay in touch and make your exit." 5. Recharge after the event. After the event, take time to recharge. Whether it's spending time alone, journaling, or engaging in a quiet activity that you enjoy, make sure you give yourself space to recover from the social interaction. Introverts often need time to process the conversations they've had and restore their energy. Planning this downtime is essential for avoiding burnout. By managing your energy during networking events, whether it's setting time limits, taking breaks, or focusing on a few quality interactions, you can make the experience more enjoyable and less exhausting. Remember, networking isn't about depleting yourself, it's about connecting in a way that feels sustainable and true to who you are. Now it's time for one of my favorite parts of the episode, our interactive Q&A. I asked you on social media what your biggest challenges are when it comes to networking as an introvert, and today we're going to dive into some of those questions. Rayana inquired, "I feel like I'm forcing myself to be someone I'm not at these events. How do I stay authentic while networking?" This is such a great question, and one that many introverts struggle with. It's easy to feel like you need to be more outgoing or talkative than you naturally are, but the truth is, you don't need to change who you are to succeed at networking. Authenticity is your superpower. Instead of trying to be extroverted, focus on your strengths, listening deeply, asking thoughtful questions, and connecting one-on-one. These qualities will help you stand out and build genuine connections. People appreciate authenticity, and when you're true to yourself, you'll find that networking feels less like a performance and more like a natural extension of who you are. Imani asked, "How do I stop feeling anxious before walking into a crowded room?" Pre-event anxiety is something many introverts experience, and trust me, you're not alone. One strategy that can help reduce anxiety is to set small, achievable goals before the event. For example, decide that you'll talk to just 2 or 3 people, or focus on having one in-depth conversation. This gives you a sense of purpose and helps reduce the pressure. Arriving early can also help. Walking into a room that's already packed with people can feel overwhelming, but arriving early allows you to get comfortable with the space before it fills up. Plus, it gives you the chance to start a conversation when the room is quieter, which can feel less intimidating. Miles's question was, "I feel like my conversations often hit a dead end. How can I keep conversations flowing more naturally?" This is a really common challenge. The key to keeping conversations flowing is to ask open-ended questions that allow the other person to share more. Instead of asking questions that can be answered with a simple yes or no, try questions like, "What's been your biggest takeaway from this event?" Or, "What are you currently working on that excites you?" These questions invite the other person to open up and share more about themselves, which keeps the conversation going and allows for deeper connection. I hope these answers help you navigate some of the challenges you've faced when it comes to networking as an introvert. Remember, you don't have to approach networking the way extroverts do. By embracing your natural strengths, like listening, focusing on quality interactions, and being thoughtful, you can make networking work for you in a way that feels authentic and rewarding. Now that you've made it through the networking event, congratulations. But there's one more important step that often gets overlooked: the follow-up. Following up is crucial for building and maintaining the relationships you started at the event. And here's where introverts can really shine. Many of us are excellent at written communication, which makes following up feel more natural and comfortable. Let's break down how to follow up effectively. 1. Send a personalized message. Within 48 hours of the event, send a personalized follow-up message. Don't just send a generic, "nice to meet you." Instead, reference something specific from your conversation to show that you were paying attention. For example, "It was great meeting you at the event. I really enjoyed our conversation about marketing. Let's stay in touch." This type of message shows that you valued the conversation and that you're interested in continuing the connection. It doesn't have to be long, but it should feel thoughtful and genuine. 2. Choose the right platform. Depending on the nature of the event and your conversation, choose the right platform for your follow-up. If it was a professional event, email might be the best choice. If it was more casual, connecting on LinkedIn or social media could feel more appropriate. The key is to match the tone of your follow-up to the context of your interaction. 3. Be consistent without being pushy. After the initial follow-up, keep the connection warm by checking in periodically. This could be as simple as sending a relevant article or asking how a project they mentioned is going. The goal is to stay on their radar without overwhelming them with constant messages. The follow-up is where the relationship really starts to develop. By sending thoughtful, personalized messages and staying consistent without being pushy, you can build lasting connections that continue to grow over time. And that wraps up part 1 of our series on overcoming challenges as an introvert. I hope you're feeling more confident about how to approach networking in a way that feels authentic and manageable for you. Let's recap some key takeaways. Quality over quantity. Focus on having meaningful conversations instead of trying to meet everyone. Small talk can be a gateway. Use it as a warm-up for more engaging conversations. Manage your energy. Set time limits, take breaks, and leave when you need to. Follow up like a pro. Personalized, thoughtful follow-ups are key to building lasting relationships. Networking doesn't have to be something you dread. It can be a powerful tool for growth and connection. In the next episode of this series, we're diving into another challenge that introverts often face: public speaking. If the thought of speaking in front of a group makes you feel anxious, don't worry. We're going to explore strategies to help you feel more confident and less stressed when it comes to public speaking. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss part 2. And in the comments, let me know, what's been your biggest challenge when it comes to networking? Let's keep the conversation going. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and remember, you've got this, vital visionaries. Until next time, stay true to yourself and keep building those meaningful connections.
I don't need the loudest voice to make a change. In the shadows, I find my range. While the world's rushing by, I'm moving still. In the silence, I find my will. No need to shout, I hear the call. In my quiet, I stand tall. Strength inside, it never fades. I walk my path in my own way. I'm the quiet strength, the power in the calm. When the world gets loud, I'm steady, I'm strong. In my silence, I rise above. I am enough, I am enough. I may not be the one to stand out in the crowd, but my spirit speaks without being loud. Every thought, every step, it's all mine. In the quiet, I find my time. No need to rush, I'll take it slow. In my silence, I still grow. I'll reach the heights, I'll climb the wall. In my stillness, I hear it all. I'm the quiet strength, the power in the calm. When the world gets loud, I'm steady, I'm strong. In my silence, I rise above. I am enough, I am enough. No need to rush, I'll take it slow. In my silence, I still grow. I'll reach the heights, I'll climb the wall. In my stillness, I hear it all. I'm the quiet strength, the power in the calm. When the world gets loud, I'm steady, I'm strong. In my silence, I rise above. I am enough, I am enough, I am enough. Just as I am, in my quiet, I take my stand. I am enough, no need to prove. With quiet strength, I make my move.